We're kicking off this semester with we're being in our new office. So which is pretty cool. We are in Mission Hills, right across the street from Lamplighter. I don't know if you guys know where that is, but it's a fun little restaurant, pub, bar right over across the street. There's La Puerta over there and Harley Gray over there. And we're gonna have a really cool little central hub in San Diego for all of us to use. So really excited for the build out. It's kind of still an empty shell. We're still building it out, but it's going to be awesome. Super psyched that I don't have to do this at home anymore. And I get to get out of the and get into a new office. So
You're
yeah.
no longer going to be at the office on 4th Avenue?
Well, no. Matt's there right now. We're still there. We're still
Okay.
there, but we have like a central hub just to all go to if we ever want to do events, like, throw happy hours, throw lunch and learns, what have you, whatever you want to do. It's going to be a very social gathering type of setup. So it'll be cool. I'm really looking
Cool.
forward. Yeah, it'll be super neat. So we are streaming live on YouTube. We are recording everything so that we will be able to share everything with our friends later on. But I wanted to take time to introduce Robb Lapp to you guys. He is our regional representative over at HomeBot, and I've been working with Robb for it's been good. What, 3 years have you been there?
2 or 3 years, yeah.
That's awesome. And he's always been my go-to if I ever have any questions or ever have anything I need to like get fixed or just, hey, fill me in. How do I do this? How do I do that? He's so accessible. It's awesome. And he graciously agreed last week to come and spend some of his time with us today and kind of take a deep dive into HomeBot, and so that we all know and can learn all the new features, which is pretty sweet. I'm excited. And I heard you guys got a new app now too.
Yeah, we launched our mobile app in November of last year, which is super exciting. So
Oh, that's awesome. So I, with no further ado, will hand it off to Robb, and he can take over for us.
awesome, perfect. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, as Matt said, my name is, or Eddie, sorry, I was looking at Matt's profile. My name's Robb. I am an account executive here at HomeBot, and my goal is to make sure that you guys are fully versed in all things HomeBot so that you can be successful. We know it's been a rough couple of years, and so we're here to help however we can. Just to give a little bit of a gauge for who's on the call, go ahead, pop into the chat and let me know how much you know about HomeBot. 1 being you've only heard our name from Eddie, or 5 being you could come work for us tomorrow, just to get a little bit of a gauge of who's heard of HomeBot, and then we can kind of go from there. Use it daily, love it, Matt. Awesome, perfect. Well, let me see here. Go ahead and I'll share my screen. We'll kick it off. Haven't heard of it? That is exactly why we're here today. So in short, what we like to brand HomeBot is as a client for life portal to empower consumers to build wealth through home ownership. And so if you think about it, we have our 401k and our savings, and there are modules to help us get to retirement and be really financially savvy. But there was really nothing in the market to help with the largest asset that we buy, which is our home. And so how do we really manage our home as a true wealth builder within our portfolio? And so HomeBot started about 6-7 years ago now, based off of this stat. And for those of us who are in the industry, this isn't necessarily a huge surprise, but when we either show this to current homeowners or prospective buyers, they're taken aback that a good majority of their retirement is really going to come from their home and its equity, not necessarily their 401k or their savings. And so we wanted to position a platform in order to educate and then also drive those conversations back to you, because you guys are the industry experts. You know exactly how the industry works. And so we wanted to make it so that, it's a platform to educate them, and it's just going beyond the closing table. So it's not just about handing them their keys and walking away. It's to refer that business back to you for the entire time that they own that property and beyond. And so again, client for life portal that empowers consumers to build wealth through home ownership. And so how do we do this? Yeah,
Robb,
go ahead.
that is just such an amazing number, man. Like if you think about it, 83% of all of our like retirement is in equity in our home, and people don't realize that. And they don't think about that. And when we're having conversations with folks about buying a home and moving into your first place, it's really going to be supplementing their retirement down the road.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways that you could tap into that equity to help you all the way through life, right? Depending on how young you get to buy your first place. So, I mean, that's a huge number, man. 83%. Like it's
It's wild. It even, I mean, when I started working for HomeBot, it kind of surprised me. And then now it absolutely, completely makes sense. And so really how we want to do this is through a monthly report. And so you'll upload your database into HomeBot. We'll talk about that data piece here later in the call. But we send out a monthly report. Looks like it's coming from you. It's sent from our servers for deliverability purposes. And then they just need to open that email and then they can engage with it. So there's no username or password for them to even remember. And then as of November of last year, we actually did roll out our mobile app. So we'll talk about that in the second half of the call. So again, we want to be here for the entire time they own the home. We want it to be personalized and unique to them. And we want to drive those conversations back to you, their industry expert. So this is a preview of what the report looks like. We will dissect this and go module by module. We also have a buyer report. And then, of course, why you would want to be co-sponsored by Eddie in our co-sponsorship section of the platform. And then we also have that mobile app. So there's a lot that we're going to talk through today. If you have questions, feel free to take yourself off mute and pop in the chat. So I'm glad we're recording it so that you can refer back to it later. But we send this to about 9 million homeowners on a monthly basis, and we see about a 50% engagement rate with less than a 1% unsubscribe rate. And this is something at HomeBot that we're very proud of. And so we're not here to replace the CRM. We don't brand ourselves as a CRM. We're here as more of a marketing enhancement tool to give you that competitive advantage.
And can I just give you guys props? Honestly, like my report that I send out, somewhere between 80 to 85 open rate on a monthly basis. That blows my mind too. Like how many emails do we send out there and nobody bothers to open them? Right.
Yeah.
And they just go through and you're just scrolling through, you're like junk mail, junk mail, junk mail. This feels like a 401k statement for your house.
Yep.
Like
Exactly.
who doesn't want to see their 401k continuously grow, right? And again, I'm using 401k because to me it's part of my retirement plan. I'm eventually going to do a reverse mortgage and stop paying on it, and it's going to help me supplement my retirement income because I'm not spending money on a mortgage. So again, it's having this information in front of you, and it's so cool that so many people look at it. It's awesome.
Yeah. And so when you upload your database into HomeBot, the first thing that does go out is a welcome email. So this is an example of what that looks like. We let them know that, of course, it's completely free of charge to them. They don't need to pay anything to access their HomeBot report. This is something that they get from you as using you as their real estate or their loan officer. They can always unsubscribe at any point in time. And then from there, we start sending out their monthly report. And I think the reason why we have such great engagement is because this is completely unique for them and their home. So we always put the subject line with their property address. That way they know it's for them and them alone. And then, of course, they can see all of your information down here at the very bottom. They can always unsubscribe or manage their email preferences. And then all they need to do is click through to see their value. And then this is what they're taken to. So, of course, we always want to position you as their expert. So we put your headshot, company logo, and contact information up at the very top. And then, of course, the first thing that we're going to evaluate is their home value and the estimate of what that property is worth. Now, we don't really consider our properties in HomeBot as a traditional AVM like you might see on other sites. The reason for that is we understand that the data set points don't necessarily live and breathe in the real world. And so it doesn't know if you've done a remodel recently or if your neighbor's home sold well over asking price, in the recent weeks. And so if they think their value is different than what's displayed here, and you can also do this as their real estate agent, you can tune the value. Now, this is the only difference between your account and Eddie's account is in their account as a loan officer, they can actually be put in a request to be put in contact with you. So this way that, it might create a listing lead for you. They just want to know what that AVM is going to be worth. And so, of course, hopefully it is going up in price. And then from there, we're also going to ask them why they think their value has gone up. So have they added additional bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, or have they started to remodel and that's why they think their value has gone up? Then at the end, they get a confetti message and now their report is worth this new amount. Of course, you are alerted that they've tuned their value, which we almost like to call HomeBot the ultimate hand raiser. So we want to position these conversations when the homeowner is ready to engage. As you can see here, this is my demo account. So I've tuned it quite a bit. So if they tune their value, there's a little gear icon. If you tune it as their industry expert, it has your headshot here. probably the most click-through part of the experience is going to see what's happening in their neighborhood. And so, of course, we always want to know what's happening in our zip code and our community and, the surrounding area. And so we'll allow them to see if their, zip code is a seller's market or a buyer's market. We'll let them see inventory movement within the past handful of months, averages for that zip code. And then this is really where the education piece starts to come into play. So if I'm thinking about selling, why does it matter for me specifically, and why does it matter in the current time frame? And so in this example, they've got some great appreciation over the past few years. They've got a good equity position because of that. And then they are in an in-demand market, meaning hopefully they can sell that property at top dollar. They can also start that search for that next home all the way in HomeBot. So we want this to be from beginning to end, a one-stop shop for them to be able to view their home, sell their home, find another property. And then, of course, we want to position them to reach out to you. So there's about 60 of these direct messages throughout the experience. We want to make sure that if they have a question, they can get in touch with you. And so if they click, should I sell now? This is a email alert that goes to you in real time. That popped up just because I'm a demo account and I'm not a real person. But essentially, this would go to you in real time. You receive a text message and an email letting you know that this person has a question. And then coming back into the report.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong. With a real estate agent, are they still able to link their IDX?
Yes, they are. Yep. So we have two home search features. One we call HomeBot Home Search, which we actually went out at the end of last year, set up our brokerage, and we actually set up our local MLSs across the country. Or you can override that and put in your own IDX and then lead them to your home search site. So we've got a couple different options there. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll go over more of the home search when we talk about the buyer side. So that's coming here in a little bit.
Perfect.
Also here, what's important to them specifically, we do have some video features, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Also too, what they paid principal versus interest, what they paid. If they were to get that raise at work and put an extra $100 towards their mortgage, how much that could actually save them over the lifetime of that loan. If it's time to refinance, what this refinance market will look like. Of course, rates are a little bit higher, so that's not an opportunity right now, but this definitely will be a good way to harness, their property in that refinance, maybe to pay off those student loans or that
2020, 2021,
Yeah.
this was just nonstop pinging me
Yeah.
on a daily basis. Like,
Yep.
It was awesome.
Yeah. And then also too, when it comes time to buy a new home, what does their situation look like? So maybe it's time to purchase that new home, rent out their current home and buy another one. Maybe it's time to downgrade and pocket those proceeds. So again, we want to position you to reach out, or for them to reach out to you so that you can be there to advise them according to their unique situation. Also too, how to use that equity in the most efficient manner. Everything in HomeBot is color intuitive. So obviously from a wealth perspective, we don't recommend splurging on a European vacation, but if they're about experiences, they can definitely make that happen, but they could also leverage that equity in a ton of different ways to make sure that they're financially savvy. And then lastly, on the homeowner side, we have our Airbnb module. And so what this does is it will take a 1 mile radius of their property, and then we'll let them know the average dollar amount for the surrounding area as well as nights per month. So if they're thinking about using their current home as a short-term rental investment property, what they could expect to make on average. And then if they were to take that money and put it towards their mortgage, how they could be debt-free even faster. And of course, it is super user-friendly. So if I think I can rent my place out for more, but maybe not quite as often, all of these numbers update accordingly. And that's really great information to be able to see. And then lastly, they can always share HomeBot. So hopefully if they have any friends, family members, neighbors, or anybody within their sphere of influence that they know, that could be a really great referral for you. Any questions on the homeowner side before we talk about the buyer side? I just want to pause, make sure that any questions are answered before we move on.
So
Awesome. Yeah,
will you be dropping into kind of the activity behind the scenes?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go through the buyer report and then we'll
Yeah.
go through home search and then we'll go through that at the very end because that's kind of the
Sweet.
cherry on top for sure.
Yeah, perfect.
So we also understand that in order to get a homeowner to be a homeowner, we need to help them find a property. And so this is something that is really cool to where you can put in any prospects, leads, anybody that you're currently working with in HomeBot, or when the time comes for them to make another transaction happen, they can always come up to the buy tab. And then if they click on this, if they're a current client in your account, we'll ask them a handful of questions about timeline, what matters most to them, where they're looking. And then again, you can always put any prospects in to the buyer side of HomeBot. Has the same look and feel as the buyer report, except for, or the homeowner report, excuse me, except for on the buy side, we want to help them find a property. And so again, we have all of your information up here at the top. They do have an estimated budget here, which they can always change. They can use a calculator, and even more so, we want them to reach out to Eddie to get pre-qualified. So if they click this, you get an alert and Eddie gets an alert letting you know that they are ready to move forward with a pre-qualification. Again, video, I keep teasing it, but we'll get to it here in a little bit. Coming back into the buyer report, the first widget is going to be about setting expectations and providing transparency for how the market is going in their area. So any zip code that they're interested in, we will let them know if it's a seller's market or a buyer's market. We will also let them know the average price point, square footage, and buying timeline for that specific zip code. How we actually get the buying timeline is down here in this widget. And so what you can do is you can actually go into your settings and say, okay, it takes Eddie and team 1 day to pre-qualify someone on average. Then on average, it takes the team about 21 days to underwrite the loan and to reach the closing table. But what this middle number is doing is it's saying in this zip code in particular, it's taking the average homeowner about 17 days to find a home and have that offer accepted. So ideally, if I were to get pre-qualified today, I'd hopefully be in my new home right around the middle of March. Now, of course, this does update zip code by zip code, so these do change based on the specific area. And then also, too, if you're working with renters and they're renting, let's say that they're renting through the end of March, they can see, hey, I should have reached out a couple of days ago to get pre-qualified. Now, of course, these are averages. Everybody's timeline moves differently. But what we want to have them do is make sure that they're hitting these milestones accordingly so that they don't have any added stress, any buyer remorse. And then again, we do prompt them to reach out to you to ask those questions along the way. We also do education around the purchasing power and how interest rates actually affect that. So really the story we try and tell here is, hey, if you can make a loan work at the current interest rate, now is the time to do it, because if interest rates actually go up, that might affect how much you can afford overall. So you can always buy now if you can make it happen. You can always refinance later on down the line. And then lastly, on this page, we do have the Airbnb module once again, but this time they can actually search for property. So if I'm thinking about buying this property as an investment property, I can actually pull the data for that area. I think this is also very educational for those first-time investors to say, hey, end of the year, beginning of the year, that might not be when this is rented out to full capacity. So I might want to be a little bit more conservative with my budget, but definitely during the summer is really when I'm going to see the most ROI on this property. And then again, they can always play around with the difference of how many nights per month they're renting it out, as well as for how much, to make sure that it aligns with what they're hoping to achieve overall.
That's really cool. Is that new?
This one we've had for a little while. It's just a little bit further down on the report, so I don't think a lot of people take advantage of it, especially if you're not an investor and you're not really interested. Then that we kind of have it towards the bottom of the report.
No, that's great to know. I will definitely be sharing that with anybody looking for an investment for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, too, they can dive into a zip code in a specific zip code. They can view listings that are on the market, and then they can also explore the market overall. And so really what we want to do here is provide them an investor grade experience. So Eddie, what's a zip code where you're located?
92101.
Perfect. So let's pop over to your neighborhood. So essentially what this heat map is going to do is it's going to let the buyer know if that zip code is a seller's market or a buyer's market. So this isn't a number to say, hey, there's 74 homes available. This is saying, hey, this zip code's leaning more towards a seller's market, whereas this one over here is leaning more towards a buyer market. They can always come over to the right-hand panel and they can filter by zip codes with bigger square footage on average. So if the family is growing and I need to buy a bigger home, where may I want to do that? Also, too, if I'm a first-time home buyer or an investor and I'm a little bit more budget conscious, what zip code might be a little bit more within my price range? And then lastly, if I'm on a timeline, what zip code I might want to look in because I'm needing to move sooner rather than later. So maybe a 53-day zip code is better than a 102-day zip code. And so this is really, again, to help them navigate the buying process to make sure that they're finding all this information out. And then again, we want them to reach out to you with any of those questions. This is where they can save those zip codes and it pulls into the report that we just went over. And then as they dive deeper into a zip code specifically, this is where they can see all of that great information once again about, the market temperature. They can view homes, which we'll show you here in a minute. They can also see those averages, timeline, and then again, they can reach out to you with questions. So our home search is something that we rolled out about a year ago for agents. It was powered through ListHub. We actually have gone out and gotten our own brokerage set up. So now we're connected to the local MLS across the country. So our home search looks like every other home search site out there, but when they are on a specific home, they can actually gain financial insights. And so what that means is when they're looking at this property, they can actually see here if this is going to align with what they're hoping to achieve from a financial perspective. So they can come in here and they can fill out their information of their current monthly costs, their future costs. If they have a home in HomeBot, we'll actually pull in their equity position so they know how they can use that. Also, how long they might be in that home, and then if they're going to rent out that property, maybe, one weekend a month. And then, of course, we'll recommend this property as a smart buy, a fair buy, or a weak buy based on that financial data. So we'll let them know what they would pay versus their budget, what that possible gain for that 5 years they're estimated to stay in that home. It does look like this property is in an in-demand market. So maybe I want to offer over asking price in order to have my offer accepted. What does that do to my overall affordability? Also, too, looks like this home is in an in-demand market, which is a great thing to see. And then again, I can always see what those numbers would look like if I were to offset any of those costs by renting it out. Really, at the end of the day, we want them sticking with you, asking you and Eddie those questions so that when it comes time for them to make a purchase, they're sticking within your pipeline. We don't want them going off to Zillow and being sold off to the highest bidder for that lead. We don't want them inundated with, real estate agents and loan officers that they've never met. So we want to protect your database and we want to make sure that they know that you are their team. Of course, they would see your information as well as Eddie's. So that brings me to my next thing. Before we jump into that, though, I'll pause for questions. Any questions on the buyer report or home search? Awesome. Perfect. The one thing that Eddie did mention is you can actually disconnect our home search and plug in your own IDX. And when they click on a zip code, they're taken directly into your home search platform. Pros and cons to both. If you use ours, it's nice because you do have that budget-based financial insight widget. We're also able to track and report back on any behavior that is happening within your account. If you lead them to your home search, that's kind of where the tracking ends, but it's always nice to show them your site as well as your branding. So either way works. You can pick and choose whichever one you would like to do. But let's talk a little bit about what the co-branding looks like within HomeBot. So why did Eddie invite you today? So of course, when we want to have a real estate agent and a loan officer on HomeBot together, your clients will receive your report from you or their report from you. They'll see your information up at the very top, but then anywhere where there's a finance related section is where they're going to see Eddie's information. Now, he doesn't have access to your full database, so you're not handing him names, phone numbers, contact information. All of that is held private. But if they do click, on this example, what would my rate be? Both you and him would receive an alert. This is when he would learn who that client is, and that's when he can step into the conversation. One, this is nice because you don't have to worry about those finance-related questions. You don't have to talk about products, fees, rates, terms. You have a trusted advisor in Eddie to make sure that they know that they can trust him and ask those sensitive questions. And then, two, it does make sure that if they have those questions, they know who they can reach out to. So it's kind of a trusted advisor by featuring him and the team within the HomeBot report.
Well,
So
it's nice too because when I get pinged, I'm always picking up the phone being like, "Hey, Yvette, did you see that
Yep.
email?
Yep.
Our people are looking to buy a house. Like, we need to jump on this." And so I will remind everybody right away as soon as their clients, because sometimes you miss it. Sometimes you don't realize, like, hey, you have an opportunity here. And so it's a great reason for me to just reach out and be like, tap you on the shoulder. Remember, hey, we gotta call these people. So
Exactly.
it's all, I love it.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, that actually goes into my next thing of what you see when you log into your account. So we want to make sure that we're surfacing up all of this information. So when you log into HomeBot, this is the screen that you're taken to. And so here you can see your own performance metrics. So at the beginning, when I said we see about a 50% engagement rate, this is where you can see how many homeowners and buyers have received a report from you within the last 30 days, how many have opened that email, and then even more so, how many have actually clicked through and are engaging with their specific report. We'll go over these mobile app stats here in a minute, but this is via the email reports that are being sent out. Also, too, scrolling down into the activity feed, we want to surface up every action and behavior that we can so that you can reach out when the time is right. So as you can see here, Wendy updated her budget 26 minutes ago. Ken was on here 3 days ago. He sent a message. And so this is really when to know when I'm getting tongue-tied, when the right time is for you to reach out to your clients. There is a lot of actions and behaviors that can take place. So you can always hover over any of these items and go to a help article that will explain exactly what they did so that you know what they're doing within their report before you pick up the phone and have that conversation.
And honestly, it's kind of wild because
Yeah.
you're peering into people's minds.
Yeah. It's a little big brothery to a
Yeah, it's
certain
a little Big
degree.
Brother, and I love it because
Yeah.
you see what people are looking at. It tells you like, hey, they're looking for homes in this zip code, or like they've been playing around with the refinance and cashing out, and it's just a great reason if you scroll through this just to ping them and say, hey, how's it going? Like, I just was thinking about you, want to say hi, and they're like, oh my God, I just was talking about you the other day. Like it's funny how this happens, and I never divulge my secrets, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
happens
I
all the
definitely
time.
wouldn't call Wendy and say, hey, 26 minutes ago, I saw that you tuned
Yeah.
your birthday. No, I always use kind of that Ford model framework of how's the friends and family? How's the occupation? How's your recreation? What are your dreams for 2024? And then hopefully that does lead into a
Although I
finance.
have messed with a couple of friends of mine on this thing.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. I love that. Love that. That's awesome. We also have some really great filters as well. So the motivated to sell filter is a really great one because it's going to pull a little bit of behavior with a little bit of data. And so what it's going to do is this will produce a list of anybody who has owned their home for at least 2 years or more. They have a decent amount of equity, so hopefully they can make that upgrade relatively easy. And then they've also played around with the sell modules within the platform. So we're kind of qualifying them from a data perspective, as well as saying, hey, they have shown interest. So this could be a good call list for you for the week. So really, really great information in here. And then of course you can always do a ton of different filterings based on whether they're a homeowner or a buyer or whether they're searching for properties, which is really fun to be able to do. Also within here, you can also manage your database. And this is something that's relatively new for us, but we've actually added tasks in to the platform. So if you do nothing else but come into your task list, then you'll see success with HomeBot. So the ones that will come up into here are the CMA requests. So this is where a homeowner has requested a comparative market analysis request. This is where Eddie can actually assign it over to you for you to complete. Hopefully that might be a good listing within your pipeline. Also, to a new client that has come in. We'll talk about our lead generation here in a minute. And then also to any clients that are reaching out to get that pre-qualification. So if you come in here and you have a busy week, but you've got 10 minutes to pop in here and complete these tasks, then you'll see a lot of traction within the platform. But let's talk a little bit about what the new client lead means. So we also want to be here to generate new leads and to make sure that your pipeline is always growing. So up at the very top, you have a Get Lead tab, and this is a way for you to get people into HomeBot who you may not have worked with. So you have one for homeowner leads and one for buyer leads. And essentially what this is a dedicated website. It'll have all of your branding here, and all a homeowner needs to do is enter their street address, and then we will actually preview their report. And then when they give us their email address, it will actually unlock the rest of the report. So this is a way for people who you may not have worked with in order to receive HomeBot from you. I think there's a little bit of a misnomer that you've had to work with or are working with a real estate agent or loan officer to receive HomeBot from them. Definitely not the case. If you wanted to text this out to, your church group or send it to your friends or family or neighbors, anybody within your sphere of influence can receive HomeBot from you. Hopefully they will probably do a transaction with you, but even more so, hopefully they know somebody and they'll refer business over to you. So there are a ton of different ways you can use this. You could use it as a hyperlink in your email signature. You could post it on social media. I hear all the time that agents will use it as a check-in at open houses to say, hey, let me capture your information just so that I can get in contact with you. You're not going to be solicited to, or your information is not going to be sold. And so, the buyer one is a really great way to, capture that information when hosting open houses. You can also turn the website into a QR code and use it on any, printers, mailers, door hangers. So there's a ton of different ways for you to generate leads within HomeBot as well.
So how would you do that on open house, for instance?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would do is I would have the buyer lead page open on an iPad or a computer and just say, hey, just so I can get in contact with you, do you mind just entering where you're looking? So if I'm looking in the San Diego area, I can actually just click on that. It will actually preview the market report, market temperature for that area. And then when I give my email address, it will actually unlock the full report. And then what I can do is on Monday, I can come back to my computer, come into my clients, and then of course come into the manage and then the tasks, and then see here. that I've had a handful of new leads come in. So I want to definitely reach out, follow up with those people, see if I can help them, see if they have any questions. But it's a good way so that you're capturing their information. They're going to receive HomeBot from you. That way, whether they're heavily looking, just browsing, and they're, 6 months, a year out, you've got them in your database so that you're not leaving any money on the table.
Gotcha. Super cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Great idea.
Also, too, within here, you've got a couple of different ways you can also share it. So if you wanted to, you could embed a widget on your website. So this is the embedded code. So if you wanted to get with your marketing or your digital team, this is a live preview of what that looks like. Same thing to where if they wanted to enter their address, they could receive a report from you for free every single month. Awesome. Perfect. Well, last couple of things we'll talk about is our customizations and then the mobile app. So like you kind of saw throughout the experience, there were some videos that kept popping up. So we want to provide a way for you to put your unique voice branding and expertise into the platform. The biggest one that I would recommend is the video tab here. These are all videos that are baked into the experience. So if they're in the refinance section, a video can pop up. If they're looking to refinance, we've got a video for that. So essentially, you would just click into here. And then if you wanted to, you could pull that video in from YouTube for free. Or if you use BombBomb, PitchHub, or Wistia, you can also pull it in via those platforms. These are evergreen. So I wouldn't say, hey, Eddie. I would, say, hey, it was great to help you. If you have any questions, this is what HomeBot's going to do for you. You could even plug a referral. So on this one, the homeowner intro, it will appear in the bottom right-hand corner of that very first digest report that pops up. So a really great way to, again, put your unique voice branding and expertise front and center.
Will you guys be adding Loom anytime soon?
I know we're looking at a couple. I'm not quite sure, but I know that you could probably record it on Loom, put it on YouTube for free, and then pull it in that way. So that would probably be my recommendation there.
Cool, man.
Yeah. I'm somebody who's not video ready. I find video a little bit intimidating. Of course, we are wanting to be a perfect on video, but if you stumble or mix up your words, that makes you human. But we want to provide resources for you to be successful. And so if you click learn more about this, it'll take you to an article within our help center. This one is our video manager. And so this will have all of the 16 different videos that are included. So if you want to do it, record that buyer intro video, it will tell you where it plays into the overall experience. We'll help you craft your message with some scripting ideas. And then Grant actually does a really great video example. I think I wrote Grant's video down word for word and read it off of a Word document until it sounded natural. So if you're intimidated by video or videos on your radar for this year, we definitely want to make sure that you're here feeling comfortable. Dip your toes in the water, see if it's something that you want to go with. HomeBot is the perfect place to do that. The other video option we have is also in Customize, and that's our video email feature here. And so what this does is it allows you to segment your database by either all of your homeowners, all of your buyers, or for Eddie, he can definitely go after refi business. But this is where you can send a video email up to 1 time per week. And so what you would do is, again, you would record that video, store it on YouTube, pull it in, or you can use BombBomb or PitchHub. And essentially, this is a video email that can go out up to 1 time per week. And so the reason why we allow it up to 1 time per week is we will actually take the total number. My demo account has 55 in it. So we take 55, divide it by 7, and parse it out over the next 7 days. That way, in case you have a large database of 300, 400, 500 people, you're not being inundated with questions all on the same day. But this could be a simple market update. It could be, a new community that's being built in the area that you want to let your people know about. It could even be that you guys are hosting a first-time homebuyer seminar Thursday at 4 o'clock at your office. If anybody knows anybody who's in the market for the first time, definitely stop by. So the one thing I'll preface with this is if you do anything date specific, send it out 8 or 9 days in advance. That way it can get out to everybody by the time that they, the event is happening. Awesome. Perfect. Well, lastly, before we talk about pricing or any questions, we'll talk about our mobile app. And so up until November of last year, everything was sent out via email. And we had great engagement metrics, but we wanted to make it so that we could deepen those relationships. We know that obviously everybody has apps on their phone and they use them a lot of the time for education purposes. And so we actually purchased a company about a year ago, and they saw this through to the finish line. And really, kind of the data speaks for itself to where about 74% of people find and search for a home on their mobile device, We would rather have them on the HomeBot mobile app that's connected directly to you rather than them going off into, any competitors or being, sold off to the highest bidder, maybe on the Zillow app. And so this is a way for them to stay connected directly to you for the entire time they're searching for that home, as well as the entire time they own that home. So it has the exact same look and feel as the homeowner report. So they can definitely see how much their home is worth. They can get in contact with you, be educated on, if they're thinking about selling. But this is really where the buyer side takes it to the next level. And so on the buyer side, they can actually enter in some information about their yearly income, debt obligations, where they think their credit score might be. And then we will educate them on their estimated purchasing power. And as they check in week after week, this will actually provide them a good roadmap to that pre-qualification. We almost call it the prequal, so that when they reach out to Eddie and Matt, they are set up for success and they can know exactly what they can afford. And so again, we're here about that education, but we also want to position you as their expert to reach out to. They
Hey,
can
Rob,
actually search for homes. Yeah, absolutely.
really quick question for you. Stephanie was wondering if all of this is included in like the freemium version
Yep.
for the first 25 folks, and then or is it, do you have to start paying for it to get all these
I
options?
believe everything is included. I would have to double check about the mobile app specifically, but yes, we do have a freemium option. We'll talk about that, and you do get all the features. The biggest limitation there is you can only put up to 25 clients, but I believe it does include everything. The one thing I would have to check on is the mobile app that you might have to
Gotcha.
have a paid version for, but everything else that we've gone over so far, you get included, which is really, really nice.
And she was also wondering if this would work well for investors.
Absolutely. Yeah. So on the investor side, they might be able to put in their finances and kind of see what they could afford, because they're going to put in those debt obligations, which obviously would be their primary mortgage, and it could help guide them to what they could potentially afford. And then they can also search for homes on the platform as well. So if they click over to the find, they can actually type in any zip code or city in the country and pull up homes in their area to start that home search process, which is really cool.
And it would give them the Airbnb numbers.
Yep,
For
exactly.
that particular home. So yeah, Stephanie, I think that would be a great way to kind of approach the investors and giving them that opportunity to figure out, hey, this is what this property is going to generate an income for you. So
yeah, absolutely. This is something that we rolled out within the last couple of weeks so that you can actually have a soft pull from TransUnion. This is something that is free of charge. We're not going to charge you or the client to have this done. And this is to where they can see any discrepancies, or if they need to work on their credit or they need to ask any questions, they can see exactly where that is standing. This is something that is completely secure. You guys don't have access to this information. HomeBot doesn't even have access to this information. This is purely for educational purposes so that they know where their credit score is and where their debt obligations are, in order to make sure that they could possibly pay those off and position themselves in order to make that home a reality. So really great information there as well as far as education goes. They can always go to the App Store and download the HomeBot mobile app, but even more so, we wanted this to be natural. And so we don't expect you to go out and, promote our mobile app. So if you have clients that are currently in HomeBot, we guide them naturally with a couple CTAs of Get App. There's a banner on the side. In the email, they're able to see that they can download the mobile app. And so, if you have clients that are receiving HomeBot from you and they don't have the mobile app, that's fine, because we'll naturally guide them organically to download the mobile app. But we also want to be here for you to use it in a lead gen capacity as well. So we kind of went over those lead pages as well as the widget. But now you have a third option, which is to send them the app directly. So as you're working with clients and they're coming into your pipeline, you can always share your custom link. This will actually take them to the App Store. They'll download the app and be connected directly to you. If for whatever reason they go to the App Store not via this custom link, then they might ask you for a custom code. That's what this is. Usually it's your first name with a couple of numbers afterwards. They'll need that in order to be directly connected to you. So really great information there. We also have a downloadable flyer if you wanted to use it with a QR code. So if you want to use the lead gen pages or the mobile app, both will get them into HomeBot. They'll receive their report from you every 30 days. And then from there, they might download the app or vice versa. So really good information there. This is just a screenshot of what those logins look like. If they're a current client, they'll just use their email address. We'll send them a confirmation code. They'll be logged in. And then if they're signing up for the first time, that's where they might want your customer code from you. Awesome. Perfect. And then lastly, you can always track those metrics. So you can see here how many app users you have in total, new downloads within the last 30 days, as well as how many people are actually going in and using the mobile app version. And then, of course, within your activity feed, you can also see here if they are engaging on the web-based version, so from that email, or if they have the mobile app as well and how they're engaging. So you have metrics for both of those different parameters. Awesome. Well, that is a ton of information. I know that was a ton to receive, so I'm glad we recorded this. Does anybody have any questions before we talk about pricing? Definitely want to make sure that we're answering questions as they come in. Awesome. Perfect.
No, been knocking them out as they've been coming in.
Okay, sounds good. Well, if they do come up, feel free to interrupt me. So why do you need HomeBot? Really, kind of the data speaks for itself. About 60% of buyers already own a home. So we want you to be in contact with those people who you've helped in the past so that you can have that relationship, for years to come. We also want a sticky website. We want them to be able to search for homes in a place where they're not going to feel like their information is going to be sold or they're not going to be solicited by people that you don't know. And then also too, we want to be here to also grow your business. So as you can see the, open house or the pages, the lead capture pages can be used for open houses, door knocking, farming, even listing presentations. Really, at the end of the day, we want to protect your database so that they don't go off to Zillow and be sold off to the highest bidder. I know I've said that a couple of times, but I think it's definitely worth notating that this is a secure platform for them to receive information from you and from Eddie, and we're not going to do anything else beyond that with the data. So what is the cost? So there's a $50 cost. It's split in half. So Eddie will pay $25 to co-sponsor you on HomeBot. You pay your own $25 to have access. That's just to stay RESPA compliant. So we're following all of those guidelines. So we don't need to worry about giving away or receiving anything for free. But like we had mentioned, there is what we call freemium. It's free for you, free for Eddie. If you want to try HomeBot out without that $25 commitment, you can definitely do that. The limitation, though, is that you can only put 25 contacts in your account. So if you wanted to put in maybe some friends, family members, maybe a couple of clients that you're working with to test it out, you can definitely do that. And then you can upgrade it anytime. Premium doesn't expire, so you could be on it for 2 months, 6 months, or a year. My recommendation would be just to sign up for the paid version. I think putting more than 25 clients in there and paying $25 per month is not a huge ask. I think there are way more platforms out there that are expensive. And this is a way for you to not only stay in contact with your past clients, but working with your current clients on that buyer side as well as lead generation. So up to you in what you want to sign up for. But again, you can always upgrade it at any point in time. Awesome. Perfect. Well, that goes over a little bit of everything. I'll leave this up here on the screen. It is our offer code. It's pretty easy to remember. There is a setup fee of $50, but if you enter 50 OFF, that will waive that setup fee. Want to offer this to you, one, because Eddie invited you today, but also because you listened to me ramble for about 45 minutes about all things HomeBot. So any questions, happy to stay on, walk through anything, show anything else. Again, the time is yours.
What did you guys think? It's a pretty comprehensive piece of software, isn't it?
Yeah. Kind of.
This is awesome. I am curious if you could go over how the leads are captured. So for instance, if you have somebody coming in your open house and you've got the HomeBot up on your iPad, but they also have a home, would you be able to link into that without knowing their address or being pushy and asking for it right away?
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as like an open house or for agents, I would recommend using that buyer lead page just because they're probably in the market to buy and we want to serve up that report. When they receive their report, we actually have a pop-up that says, hey, do you own a home? Do you want to enter that address to receive the buyer or the homeowner report? So we kind of guide them in both directions because we understand that homeowners are buyers and buyers are homeowners. And so we try and do that naturally. And so as far as the lead capture goes, I would definitely use the buyer one just because that will guide them to putting in their home so they can receive that equity report. If not, you could always just use the homeowner one. And then when the time is right, they can go to the top to that buy tab. So either way, we try and get them on both sides of the platform. Also, too, with that $25, you get your first 500 clients. If they're in as a homeowner and a buyer, that only counts as one contact because we understand that buyers are homeowners and homeowners are buyers. So yeah, you can just know that we're going to guide them to the right place to receive both reports if they're so interested. So
And
really
I
good.
have one more question. I'm sorry.
No, you go for it. Please do.
If you have a husband and a wife and they both want to receive the emails, is that two potential clients or are they one? How do they share that?
Yeah, so that one is only one because it's one house. And so the way that that works is I'll scroll down here to one that I have in here. I've got Wendy and Marty Bird here. If you're an Ozark fan, that's where that comes from. But in here, when you click into their profile, you can see here that we've got Marty here and you've got his information about the last time he received his report and the next time he'll receive his report. And then if we click over to Wendy, this brings up her profile. So you can actually also track below all of their individual actions on their specific home. And then you can also add a third one. So if they've got, an 18-year-old who needs to learn a little bit more about financing or maybe buying a home for the first time, you can add up to 3 people and that only counts as one contact because it's one home. Really great question.
Cool.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Love it. Absolutely. Any other questions?
Yeah, and Stephanie, I think that doing it from the buyer's side is probably less intrusive.
Yeah.
During an open house where you're not like, oh, hey, put in your home address right here. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, I'd be a little standoffish if someone's asking me where do I live. So, but I love that. Like, I never really thought about using HomeBot at an open house, and I think I'm definitely gonna start bringing my iPad with. I don't know if my kids are gonna be so happy that I'm gonna take their iPad, but I think I'm gonna start bringing the iPad with me to open houses.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could just say, for security reasons, we just ask that you check in just so that we can keep track of you. And then again, you'll receive information from me, but your information is going to be sold off and it's not going to be, out in the world. So really secure here within HomeBot.
Awesome.
Super cool.
Cool.
Questions, you guys? Feedback? Jasmine, what'd you think? This is the first time you ever saw this. Can you talk?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I actually think it's amazing. I can't wait to, dabble into it and play with it after this Zoom, just to get a feel for it and get it all signed up.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
I think it'll be like benefit me also because I'm transitioning into real estate full time now and, might as well jump in and get a head start.
Yeah, if you want to text me or email me or even put it on Facebook, whatever, your email address, I can send you an invite.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's see here. So actually
And same goes for everybody on the call. If you guys need a report, if you want to sign up for it, just hit me up and send me an email and I'll get you added.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually what I was going to do is I'm logging into your account right now. I'm going to pull your link here. My internet would catch up, get leads. Perfect. So I'm going to actually copy that. So I will actually put that in the chat. So if you want to receive your own HomeBot account or a HomeBot digest report from Eddie, go ahead and just sign up through there. You'll just enter your home address and then it'll ask for your email and then it'll verify some information and then you'll be able to receive your own report. Definitely think that's the best way to kind of play around with HomeBot is, if you want to send this out to all of your clients, just know that Eddie would be on all the finance related sections of the report.
Cool, man.
Awesome.
That's perfect. Thanks a lot for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll also put my information in the chat. If you guys have any questions, happy to hop on another phone call. We have a ton of also live trainings within the platform as well. So if you wanted to learn more about, the video features, we have a live video class every single week. Lead generation, we also, have some great classes and then a full help center. So, as you get up and running, definitely want to make sure that you're using the platform to the fullest potential. Does that mean you need to use our video features tomorrow? No. Doesn't it mean you need to use the mobile app tomorrow? No. But just know that they has the capability. So when the time is right, if you're thinking about doing video, if you want to hold off a couple months, know that when you're ready, it's all available within the HomeBot platform. So
cool, man. Dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and coming out and doing all this for us. And hopefully we'll have a few more people signing up and using the platform and getting some more business.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever we can do to help grow your business this year. Again, like I said at the beginning, it's been a rough year. rough couple of years. So whatever we can do to help make you guys successful this year, set yourself apart from the competition, help your clients out. I know, finding a home in today's market is hard, and we want to be here to alleviate that pain and educate the people that you're working with. So thank you. I
Cool,
appreciate
Rob.
it today.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
We'll
talk
see
soon.
you guys